Howdy, hi, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Auction Advocate, the podcast where we are all in. My name is Taven Wohlford, Marketing and Digital Media Manager for the National Auction Association. And today we are beginning our 6th season of the show. This season is already shaping up to be filled to the brim with auction excellence. Together, we will explore the history, traditions, challenges, and future of the auction industry with some of our best and brightest. We will meet the people behind the sale, the families carrying its traditions forward, and the next generation preparing to take on the auction block. And if we are going to understand where this journey goes next, we need to begin by understanding where the auction industry stands today. Joining me today are the newly installed 2026-2027 President and Vice President of the National Auction Association, Mike Fisher, CAI, AARE, AMM, BAS, CES, GPPA. Hey, Mike.
How are you doing, Taven?
Doing great. And T. Kyle Swicegood, CAI, AARE, BAS, GPPA. Mike and Kyle, howdy, hi, hey, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
You were both officially installed on stage at Conference Show less than a month ago. Have the emotions settled down yet, or are you still processing what that moment meant? Mike, how are you feeling?
So I feel great. The emotions have now settled down. In fact, I was in Kansas City with you guys yesterday, so it's time to get to work. So all the emotions, they were pretty much over a week after I got back.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I was nervous. Speaking in front of your peers is different than speaking in front of bidders out there, and I was anxious to get that speech accomplished, but we're ready to hit the ground running.
Was there a moment, was it those speeches where the responsibility suddenly felt real, or no? You knew this day was coming?
Actually for me, it is when the passing of the gavel and they handed it to me and I held the gavel in the air. It wasn't during the speech. It was at that particular moment is when the weight of it really hit.
And then the hammer drops with you and all that weight comes with it. Before we assess the entire auction industry, I want our listeners to understand the businesses shaping your individual perspectives. What does your company do? Whom do you primarily serve? And what are you currently seeing within your asset classes? Kyle, let's begin with you and your company, the Swicegood Group, located in North Carolina.
Yeah, we're in central North Carolina, just west of Winston-Salem. Our office is in a small town called Mocksville, North Carolina. We are licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Historically, I am a real estate broker that became an auctioneer, and we are a servant of those that have estates. We do equipment sales. We do a lot of gun auctions. We're an FFL dealer, so we do that as well. So we have somewhat of a wide blade.
That's great. And Mike, how about you and your Redfield Group team located in Alabama?
Yeah, so we're in Gadsden, Alabama, which is northeast Alabama. People say it's like the epicenter of auction companies because you have J.P. King. Their office is literally 200 yards up the street from me. Target Auction, there's a lot of NAA members here. It's funny you ask because T. Kyle said he came from the traditional side and then came into auctions. I'm a first generation auctioneer, and I came from the hazardous waste management industry to get into the auction business. And there's no natural segue for that. I actually started a company, sold it in the late 90s, moved to Montana and went to work for a real estate auction company there. So I've been in the business since 1999 and up until 2012, all we sold was real estate. That was it. And we conducted auctions in over 40 states, Mexico and the Bahamas. So we just chased the big deal all over the country. But when the market crashed in 08, didn't come back in 9 and still wasn't back in 2012, we then broadened our asset class to be precious metals, pots and pans, estates, whatever we could do to keep the lights on. And that business now has morphed into mostly real estate, equipment, and then like corporate wind downs, commercial assets, plant closures, things such as that. And we do a little bit of bankruptcy work. That's sort of the trajectory of my business. And we're really heavy into equipment now that has really started over the last 2 or 3 years.
Because that started in the last 2 or 3 years, are you seeing that as like the greatest opportunity that your company can take on at this point?
We're problem solvers. That's what we do. And so we have, since 2012, instead of us choosing exactly what market we're going to be in, we've let the market choose what we needed to do. And so we've pivoted multiple times. And at this time right now, equipment and business wind downs it's really solid for us. So that's where we're taking the business. Who knows? 10 years, that may change. I mean, I may be selling Pokemon cards in 10 years. Who knows?
Pokemon, you might want to get that down.
Well, see, that will tell you I don't sell them now. So.
Kyle, what are buyers responding to right now with your company?
Well, that depends on which asset class you're talking about. Guns have been a constant for us. Bidders love guns. We do sell silver, gold, coinage, and that's always, we don't have to worry about where the bidder's going to come from. They show up. Real estate is strong, but real estate is a little up and down. We've had a lot of success in selling real estate. We closed 2 last week. And it's been a constant for us over the years. You know, Mike talked about 2009 through 12. That's really what got me in the auction industry. I was a real estate broker up until 2009, and when I went 6 months without making a dollar conventional real estate sales. So I had to figure out how to make a living, and I went to auction school, and there was the trajectory change of my life. I became an NAA member immediately, and here we are today.
Okay, fantastic. Glad you're both here. Mike, during last year's State of the Auction Industry conversation, you rang the silver tsunami alarm because someone else had told you that. I can't remember that person, and I apologize for that. As our population ages, trillions of dollars in real estate, businesses, equipment, collections, and personal property will change hands. That wave may unfold over the next decade, but auction professionals cannot wait 9 years and 11 months before deciding how to prepare. How do you see, in each of your businesses, how do you see this silver tsunami developing today, and what should auction professionals be doing to prepare for it? Kyle, you are handling estates a little more in your company. What are you doing to prepare for this silver tsunami?
Well, knowledge is power. And in 2030, the baby boomers will be 65 years old. There is a huge explosion of opportunity for auctioneers as we look to the future. There's going to be a tremendous transfer of wealth, and auction companies need to prepare for that. What we do is we do a good job at every auction that we get, whether it's a huge estate or a small estate. We treat them equal, with opportunity for our sellers to experience what a great auction is all about.
I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman yesterday, nothing about auctions. We were talking about business in general, and he's a consultant now, but he was from the distribution and building supply business. And we were talking, and I was telling him that this is what we've been seeing really over the last year or two, and that is businesses that there's no succession plan. And so they've been an electrical contractor for 40 years. And now over the last 5 years, since COVID, it's gotten harder to hire people. So their staff got smaller and they were ready to wind down. Well, now it's time to retire and there's no business to sell.
Right.
You know, they have assets, they have real estate, they have equipment, they have things like that, but they did not prepare for that time. So we're seeing a lot of that, of people that they've been trying to sell their business. They may be working with mergers and acquisition companies trying to sell their business. And after a year, they say, you really don't have a business to sell, you know? So we've been doing quite a bit of that business where we're going in and selling real estate, all the assets, equipment, and things like that to get somebody through that transition period, to give them that nest egg for their retirement.
Okay, so when you look at that demographic shift, where do you see the greatest opportunity or greatest risk for the auction industry in general?
I don't see a lot of risk in the auction industry at all. But I do see a lot of opportunity. It's like T. Kyle says, there's all kinds of reports talking about $1 trillion worth of wealth
Mm-hmm.
transferring. Well, a lot of that wealth that is going to transfer, it can be an estate, it can be $10,000 in an estate, can be a $200,000 estate, or it can be a business that's sort of at the end where there's no market for the business. But all of those, they all have one thing in common, and that is there's not many other methods available to them to transfer that wealth.
Okay,
Okay,
sure.
so it's like if you're selling a big estate and they have a lot of they have tractors and they have this and they have antiques and they have collectibles and guns and all of that kind of stuff. It's really hard for an executor of an estate or the person that's retiring and ready to get them a beach house and go to the beach. It's hard to sell that stuff one off. It's the same way with a business.
And one thing, Mike, we're seeing is estates in North Carolina. Mom and dad had the same job they had for 40 years. Their children are not like that. And we're seeing executors in California, executors in Texas, and they're trying to operate 4 states away. And what they're looking for is a trusted auctioneer to help them maneuver through that shift and that change. And I see opportunity abounding. I do not see a lot of risk. I agree with you, Mike.
Those people operating multiple states away, are they operating because that company that is multiple states away has explained why the auction method is working in their particular situation, and in Texas they aren't? Or what do you think is going on there?
Well, in my case, the majority of our estates come from an attorney. And if I had to give any encouragement, to an auction company, it's get to know estate attorneys, get to know attorneys who need your help. And Mike said it earlier, we are solution-oriented people. These attorneys have a problem. They've got huge assets and they want to get them sold, and we need to be the one standing in the front of the line.
Yeah, real estate, livestock, automobiles, benefit estates, heavy equipment, everything we have talked about already, all operate differently. What needs unite auction professionals across these asset classes, these regions, these business models? What are all auction professionals looking for out of these kind of businesses?
Well, first of all, I would say what unites us all is really community. And honestly, when I got in this business 27 years ago, I didn't see as much community then as I do now. But community is becoming really big where it may be, I do 1 or 2 benefits a year, and I'm usually doing them because a benefit auctioneer asked me to fill in. So when I get a call about a benefit auction, I've got, 1 or 2 people I'm going to call and refer that deal over to them. But that all comes from community. Or it can be that somebody calls me because they're dealing with an asset class they've never been involved with before. Or I call another auction company because this project is so big and has to happen so quick, we don't have the manpower to physically do it. So I call another. So I think that what the biggest thing is again, community, and it's auctioneers now seeing that they are more powerful as a group than they are as an individual person or company.
Coming out of auction school in 2009, I had been doing real estate for years. I'd done everything from mom and pop brick ranchers to multi-million-dollar shopping centers. So I had the experience in real estate, but I did not have the auction experience. The second auction that I had the opportunity to do was a $1 million piece of dirt. And what did I do? I chose to engage an NAA professional to do a joint venture with me, and he readily did that. And it kind of goes to what you teach, Mike, across the nation. A half a loaf's better than no loaf at all. And we had a successful auction. And I don't mind mentioning the guy's name, Tom McGinnis with Iron Horse Auction. He's in my state, but he readily opened up his toolbox and said, let's go to work. That's the great thing about the National Auction Association. We're competitors in a sense. I mean, if Mike and I had an opportunity to get an auction, we would put our proposals together and see if the best man could win. But in the end, if I've got a question, Mike, how many times have I called you in the last 3 weeks? A ton. I mean, we are open doors for each other.
Great.
And I think that's the community that Mike's talking about.
Hey, let me give you a quick story, Taven. So this is probably my second year in the auction business. This is a second year that I had my company. So this is like 2002, 2003. And I booked a sale in Camden, South Carolina. Okay. Didn't know anybody in the NAA. I knew some people in the auction business. I was a member. I just hadn't even attended conference and show yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked up the phone and called some NAA members that I knew because I needed a broker and auctioneer in South Carolina. So they all said the same thing. Hey, call Bill Yantz, who passed away this past year. But so we're on site. Bill Yantz is going to be our auctioneer and broker, and it's 292 stall commercial horse operation with a long sandy driveway in South Carolina. Right before he gets started, we're getting ready for him to read the live auction. So we're getting ready for him to read the terms. And all of a sudden I look, and here comes a pickup truck with a topper shell on the back flying down this driveway. And when it pulls up, stops at the house, dust is everywhere. And I see Chris Pratt Auctioneers on the side of his car. You know, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, great. I didn't know Chris. I'm like, great. Now there's an auctioneer that's going to come in. He's going to cause trouble, you know, that we're in now, and we're in his area. So he gets out and he runs straight over to Bill Yantz, and he was like, hey, who you doing the auction for? You did. So he introduces me to Chris, and he tells me and Bill, he said, is there anything you guys need? Just let me know. So Bill starts on the microphone, and he does not get 2 minutes into the terms and conditions, and his PA puked. It's done.
Okay.
As soon as it went out, Chris sprints to his truck, throws open the back, grabs a PA system, sprints back. It was like he was a roadie for the Rolling Stones. He comes running back up. He gets up there, sets the PA system and everything up, hands Bill's the microphone, and that was my introduction to what community in the NAA is.
Yeah, the business models may differ, but one theme continues appearing in nearly every conversation about this profession, and it is the people. It's the community.
100%.
Yeah, Mike, in your first President's Message coming out in the August-September issue of the Auctioneer magazine, you made the case that the value of an association is not only found in its programs or resources, it's also found in the relationships that members build and the community that they create. Out of every possible subject you could have chosen to begin your presidency with, you began with people. Why was community the message you believed NAA members should hear first?
Well, so first off, I believe that education and those type of things get people involved, but it's the community that keeps them there. So, you know, I tell everybody the difference between somebody that's done nothing but paid dues for 5 years, and they're sitting there saying, I really don't get anything out of the NAA. The difference between them and a Hall of Famer is engagement and community. That's the difference.
Sure.
One chose to become engaged. One chose to give back. One chose to become part of something greater than just themselves. And that's really the difference. So that's why I started it out with community, is because I don't care whether you're an auctioneer in the auction association, you're in a construction association. I don't care what association it is. What the power of those associations is, in the end, is community. It's relationships. It is, like T. Kyle talked about, being able to pick up the phone and call somebody when you have a question and need advice, or you just want to vent to somebody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's having those relationships that come from community and engagement. It's having those relationships that makes your job and your company and your employees, it makes their functions much easier.
And the amazing thing is they lead to referrals. I mean,
True.
Community leads to referrals. If I had to give any advice to a listener that's new to NAA, do the following: pick 5 people, reach out to them via phone, email, and make a connection. There's not a week that goes by that I'm not on the phone with somebody in the NAA, and it's made my life richer, and it's made my company stronger.
That's fantastic. Kyle, I want to widen the meaning of community with you. When you look at the strongest auction professionals that you know, what roles have both the auction community and their local community played in that success?
Well, from the local standpoint, support. I know our
Totally.
company could not survive without the local support from our community. From the NAA community, some of the greatest tools, some of the greatest ideas that I have taken and helped build my company on came from phone calls, came from emails, came from meeting somebody at conference and show and listening to the way they're doing things. I have visited multiple auction companies, and there's not a time that I didn't leave with my toolboxes filled greater than they were when I left.
Great. Mike, do you feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, it's funny because I came from the hazardous waste management business. So I owned a company, and I tell everyone when I teach my partnering classes at state conventions and stuff, I tell everybody in the hazardous waste business, our biggest competitors on the street, which meant we were always fighting. My company, their companies, we were always fighting over the big deals. Okay. What corporate clients. My biggest competitors on the street were also my largest customers. So all of these
Oh,
companies that we fought with to get deals, they all, if they got this Ford Motor Company, they got the account. We're trying to fight for both, trying to get it. There was 25% of the waste that they were going to bring in from Ford, they couldn't process. So you know what? We had a deal structured, they'd bring it to me.
yeah.
And if I got the deal, there was 25% of the waste that I couldn't process, we'd give it to them. So so even though we were competitors on the street, our salespeople were competitors on the street, we were each other's largest customers. And that is the same way I look at the auction industry. Yeah, are we going to compete on deals with somebody that may be our friend or a colleague or something? Yeah. Honestly, though, not that much. Not as
Hmm.
much as you would think. I really don't. But guess what? All of these people that I compete with, most of these I share business with on the back end at some point. We may not do it every week, but we
Yeah.
share information, we share business, we share referrals, and we share connections. So if an auctioneer calls me and says, Mike, hey, do you know an auctioneer and broker in New Mexico? Sure, let me call him. I'll put you two together via text. You know, it's and so that 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 part of it, those connections and that type of stuff, you're not going to get outside of community.
Yeah, the auction industry often describes itself as a family. And family to me has always been someone bugging me about when I'm getting married or another person reorganizing my kitchen without my permission. The word family carries closeness, but families also develop history, traditions, plenty of inside jokes that can make newcomers feel uneasy or worse, unwelcome. How can the auction industry preserve the closeness that makes it special without becoming difficult for someone new to enter? Kyle?
That's a tough question because my experience was in 2009, I believe, at my first convention. It couldn't be 2010. One of my local competitors, Mark Rogers, introduced me to Lance Walker and his wife,
Okay.
and immediately they invested in me. They invested in my interest, and they encouraged me to go to this class and that class. And they followed me, and I followed them through my experience with NAA now, 16 years or so. We've got to be intentional as members to look out for the newcomers. We've got to welcome them. We've got to show them the welcome mat, and I think we do a pretty good job.
I would agree. So, who is responsible for making the first connection? Is it the NAA member themselves, the veteran NAA member kind of a deal for these newcomers?
There's a blending of that. I mean,
Of course.
a new member has got to come wanting to learn, wanting to engage. We've got to see that, and I think it's incumbent upon senior members engaging with these newcomers.
So at convention this year, I went to the first timers orientation. There was probably 25,
Hmm.
maybe 30 people there. And there was more people standing around the walls of the room than first timers.
True.
And I told them, I was like, take a look around this room. There's well over 1,000 years of combined experience standing around this room waiting to meet you. Okay. But there's Hall of Famers, there's presidents, there's people from all over the United States in here, and they're here to welcome you. Now, my advice to you is make sure when you get up, you shake every hand in this room. And when you leave this room, make sure you continue to introduce yourself and continue to shake hands. Because when I became a member and when I became active in the NAA, it wasn't 1,000 members calling me going, hey, I'd like to be your mentor, or I would like to help you in your business. That's not the way business works. So I would say that it's really upon the new member to decide how engaged they want to be. But and I was talking to this is a state association, Alabama, 2 weekends ago, and I was given my 20-minute presentation about the NAA, and I said, I've heard people outside of the industry or outside of the association, or somebody that was a member for 2 years and they're no longer a member. They say, oh, the NAA is nothing but a good old boys and good old girls club. And
I've heard it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? They're absolutely right. Except the only difference is that the NAA there's no initiation, there's no secret handshake, there's no hazing to get involved. There's nothing, the only thing you have to do to become a member of the club is choose to engage. Walk up and say hello, just like T. Kyle said. He was introduced to Mark Rogers, and Mark Rogers introduces him to everybody. What did T. Kyle have to do to join that good old boys and girls club? He showed up. So that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do is take a step, show up, get engaged. You're automatically a member of the club. It's just the people that decide they don't want to be engaged or call it, as a derogatory term, a club.
In business building, there's a thing called leverage. You go borrow money from a bank to leverage to build something. I know Mike's going through a big building project right now. The thing I want to encourage new members is to leverage the NAA, leverage their resources, the NAA's resources, education, etc. Leverage relationships. That's community that we've been talking about, and leverage the credibility. Mike's got success. Mike's a member of the NAA. I want to cling on to his success to mimic that in my marketplace. Hey, Mike Fisher's a big auctioneer in Alabama. He's a member of the NAA. I'm a member of the NAA. So leverage what the NAA has to offer.
Most of what I understand about this profession did not come entirely from reading articles, creating social posts, or finally learning what all the designation letters mean. It came through conversations. Someone explained why a tradition mattered. Someone introduced me to another member. Someone told a story that helped everything click into place for me. Those relationships did not begin because I arrived holding a referral agreement and a legally binding friendship contract. They began with curiosity. In the auction industry, what makes a professional relationship feel genuine instead of transactional? What examples do you guys have in your personal lives that make you feel like you've already shared stories of genuine help that you have received? How do those progress beyond transactional into genuine professional relationships?
I'll start by telling you it's called friendship. It's friendship, and let me say this: I work hard to make a good living for my family. So is money important? Yeah, money is important, but money is not everything. Genuine friendship is what I look for when I want to send a referral, and I want to receive genuine friendship, and I want to offer genuine friendship. That's what Mike and we're in business, but I can call him up about auctions, or I can call him up about a life matter.
Mm-hmm. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. And it's not hard to tell 5 minutes into a conversation with somebody that is calling for advice the first time or the second time. It's not hard to tell of whether that conversation is transactional and only, It is.
Okay.
It is. Hey, there have been times where I've gotten 10 phone calls from one person about a particular thing, and I know after the second phone call it's purely transactional. Okay, so I don't treat those conversations at that. But I will tell you this: that 90%, 95% of the relationships, if not greater, that I have inside the NAA, and literally it is hundreds and hundreds of these relationships. I can count on one hand those that are transactional. So, like I said, we're problem solvers. We're most auctioneers, because of the nature of their business, because they're sitting down with families or somebody that owns a business that's going sideways, or somebody that's tried to sell their real estate and haven't been able to get it done, or whatever the case may be. As auctioneers, I know I do, and I know T. Kyle does. We form relationships with our clients. You know what I mean? So just the nature of our business is not just transactional. Yeah, a transaction happens every single time we do an auction. Okay. But our relationship with our seller, relationship with the buyers, those are relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So by nature, yeah, I mean, if you are a big data company and you're pumping out 1,000 auctions a year, there's probably not a whole lot of relationships. But for 95% of the members of the NAA, we are smaller businesses. We're not conglomerates, and we sell on relationships. So I would say that the vast majority of members, they're already in the relationship business.
These relationships become pathways to education, credibility, finding talent through the IAC, referrals, like you said, partnerships, new business, all of that stuff. Kyle, you kind of mentioned it earlier. What does it mean to leverage your NAA membership so you are seeing these pathways really come together?
Well, Mike mentioned earlier about those members that pay their dues and expect this magic wand to happen. Well, that's not what it's about. It's about participating in the programs. It's about coming to conference and show. I mean, conference and show, if you have done nothing with your NAA membership, that's the first step I would encourage you to come to conference and show. That's where you're going to meet people and you're going to be welcomed and you're going to have educational opportunities. Designation is a great way to leverage your membership. CAI was my life changer. I was coming out of 2009 when my income suffered, and it cost me money to go to CAI in 2010 or 11. I can't remember which year it was I went, but it cost money. It was money that I really didn't have, but I leveraged, and that was really the launching pad for my auction career. That's really where I became truly an auctioneer.
Certified Auctioneers Institute. You both have those letters behind your name, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. Mike, where have you seen active membership transform someone's business? I feel like your own story is this, but
sure.
Where have you seen active membership transform someone's business?
I mean, honestly, I see active membership transform people's business on a weekly basis. Honestly, I do. And every time I come to conference and show, or when I go speak at a state association that I've spoken at before, I walk in and somebody that I see again, that I may have saw at the NAA convention, or the last time I saw them was at a state convention. And when I walk in and they go, "Hey, you remember the last time when you were here, you told me about this, this, and this. You know what? I've implemented that and it's changed my business. And also, I'm now partnering with these 4 auctioneers over here. We've worked on deals over the past year." It will change anybody's business that chooses to engage. It's plain and simple.
Sure.
If you choose to engage, your business will change.
Membership, the NAA's code of ethics, and all our professional designations can all establish credibility, but potential clients may not automatically understand what any of those things mean.
Sure.
People might see either one of your business cards and wonder what the alphabet soup behind your names is supposed to mean. But how does an NAA membership help an auction professional earn trust and win business? You've both brought it up multiple times, but in your own lives, how have you earned trust and won business just by being an NAA member?
So like you said, most people do not know what the general public doesn't know what CAI is. Okay, they don't know what AAR is. So I make sure that if somebody calls me, if I'm talking to somebody for the first time on the phone and they're exploring an auction, I say, hey, give me your email address real quick. I'm just going to shoot you an email that just says it's got my cell phone number on it. You'll have my email address. That way we can communicate after we get off the phone. And they go, great. Well, I do that just so they see my signature. And my signature does have all the digital badges, but above that, it says CAI, Certified Auctioneers Institute. And all of those are in my signature. Okay. So that's the first thing. And then probably 25% of the time we do a follow-up, they'll go, oh my Lord, you got all kinds of designations. You have this. So it is, there's two types of leverage. One is to people outside of the industry, and the other one is to people inside the industry. You've got to educate the public on what the NAA is. Okay. And I do that subtly with signatures and my emails. And then when I talk about, if I'm on a phone call with somebody, I say, oh, by the way, I talk about my company. I introduce them about my company, give them 5 minutes about my company, how our program works, and then just a little background on me. And then I talk about how I served as an EI trustee and I was chair, and T. Kyle and I were CAI committee chairs and vice president, and I'm appointed by the governor, and I chair the Alabama State Board of Auctioneers. And I just throw that kind of stuff out. And I say, I'm not bragging. I just want you to understand I have credibility as a business. Mm-hmm. And they're like, fabulous. So that's how I leverage it.
Okay.
We go to CAI, we go to Designation Academy to get educated. We get designation so we can go back into our public population and educate our potential clients on what we've done and what education we've had. And it builds credibility that they realize that you're not dealing with someone that just went and got a license, but they're dealing with somebody who has taken the extra step, gone the extra mile. If you learn, you earn.
Yeah, I do want to dive deeper into this set of letters that you both have behind your name, CAI. This year, the Certified Auctioneers Institute celebrated its 50th anniversary. For 5 decades, graduates have described CAI as something that not only reshaped their business, but also their confidence, leadership, and professional relationships. How did CAI reshape your professional lives, and why has it remained so influential after these 50 years?
I will tell you, I've been a member of the NAA for 12, 13 years, and I've wanted, for 10 years, I've said I was going to go to CAI. I just either A, forgot about it, didn't make the time, had an auction book that weekend or something like that. Once I actually made the commitment, which was 48 hours prior to CAI starting, I saw a post on Facebook that said there's 2 open slots. So I booked in 48 hours. Once I got to my first year at CAI, the education was fantastic. It changed the way I did proposals. So that was 10 years ago. I still use the same format that I learned at CAI. And I'd been putting proposals out on multi-million-dollar properties for 12 years, okay? Mm-hmm. But still not exactly the way they taught me. So the education and stuff was fantastic. But it was the people I met at CAI in Class 1 and Class 2 and Class 3, those people I met. And then when I've graduated CAI and I go to the CAI breakfast and there's 200 people there, it's really a special network. I've had people that called me and said, hey, I got a referral for you. And the first thing I do before I send a referral is I want to make sure they're CAI, because then I know that you're going to handle the job properly. This is a good client of mine, things like that. But CAI, again, it's the absolute pinnacle of networking.
Kyle,
I remember the first day when we had a gathering before class started. I was nervous. I was a conventional real estate broker. There were cowboy hats. There were sports jackets. There was all kind of people in our class. And I began the immersion of the auction industry. And I went there believing that I was going to be strictly a real estate auctioneer. because I'd been doing real estate and I knew how to do real estate, and I was just going to implement the auction industry. Fast forward 16 years later, we're selling equipment, guns, gold, silver. We're selling. I've sold cattle, herds of cattle before. I never in my life dreamed in 2009 that I would be doing what I'm doing today. And had it not been for CAI, I would have been a wandering generality. It's what Zig Ziglar would call it, a wandering generality.
T-Call, you're showing our age when you referencing Zig Ziglar.
Hey, I'm proud to be a fan of Zig Ziglar. Even in his death, I love Zig Ziglar.
We're talking about a 50-year-old designation right now. It's the right time anyway.
Yeah,
I believe you're right.
So, Mike, you brought up how you will see CAI at the end of someone else's name. Do you feel like CAI has been around for 50 years because for 50 years, auction professionals have seen that on the end of someone's name and known that they are a credible source for what they're looking to do?
We started this conversation off earlier about how education gets people involved, but relationships is what keeps them coming back. CAI is a perfect example of that. It is the pinnacle of education inside the NAA. But even then, it's those relationships that when you have the CAI pinning on stage, or you have a CAI reception or a breakfast, and there's 250 people there. This is 250 people that they have came, spent the money to come to conference and show, and then taken the time to make sure they're there. And I will tell you this, there's a lot of those 250 people that you really don't see every single day at conference and show, but they're going to be at the CAI reception. And so it is, again, it's about those relationships you form.
Okay. You walk in the front, you walk in the door of CAI 3 years later, you walk out with a confidence you didn't have day one. And it's confidence that you can take out into your marketplace. I'm a firm believer. That was my experience.
Yeah, access to people and opportunities is beyond valuable, but simply entering the room of CAI doesn't really guarantee anything. You got to put the work in. You can technically attend conference and show while mentally spending the entire educational session deciding where you're going to eat afterward. I've seen it happen. At conference and show this year, I spoke with IAC contestant Garen Parker of Carthage, North Carolina. Garen had graduated from auction school only a week or two before IAC. Then he stepped onto the IAC stage and performed his first live auction. Most people would graduate from auction school and perhaps give themselves a comfortable Tuesday afternoon to process the experience. Garen looked at the calendar and apparently decided, excellent, let us immediately introduce bright lights, judges, and the International Auctioneer Championship. He knew where he wanted to go, understood what opportunity was available, and scheduled his entry into the profession accordingly. That is strategic attendance. Go ahead, Kyle.
His next auction was last week at the Carolina Clash. Number 2 was the Carolina Clash, and he's a good guy. He comes from a great family. And I admire him. I mean, he stood on stage and owned it. And that's what leveraging the NAA is all about.
Yes. I was going to say that is what strategic attendance with a little bit of beautiful insanity sprinkled on top. What does it mean to attend an NAA event strategically?
Oh, I mean, I think the answer's same. Strategically. Yeah, strategically. So for the last 2 years, because I was running for vice president and then going in as president, for the last 2 years, I have not been able to attend a single class, not one. Because I have board responsibility. So it's like my schedule is all day long. But strategically, guess what? Strategically, I guarantee you, I've had conversations with a minimum of 200 people at conference and show. It may not be in a class. It's in a hallway. It's something else. But strategically, it is every year that I go, I am going to either build a new relationship, I'm going to strengthen an old relationship, And I can tell you strategically, because I choose to engage, well over 50% of my business I have a partner on. And strategically, I made a business decision when I was at CAI. I made a business decision to treat this business like I did my prior company. And that was, I'm going to make all my competitors business partners.
Okay.
So strategically, that's the only way. Yeah, strategically, it's the only way I can do that is to go out and meet more people. And where are you going to meet auctioneers at? You're going to meet them at state and national conventions, period. So strategically, that's how I used it, strategically.
Yeah, root word strategy. My strategy for any continuing education, I mean, is drinking from a fire hydrant typically. But I basically say I'm going to take three things back with me and implement those. And if you don't go with that strategy in mind, then you're going to come back and say, man, it was great, but you're not going to have anything to implement. So take three things from the continuing education that you go to and bring them back and implement them in your business.
Okay. Yeah. There are many points in many membership journeys when an association stops feeling like a bill that arrives once a year and starts feeling like something you have a personal stake in building. Neither of you joined the NAA with future president printed beneath your name. At least I assume not. If either of you entered with a 5-year plan and professionally designed campaign signage, this is your opportunity to confess. Nothing. Was there a particular event, invitation, relationship, or experience that changed the NAA from an organization you joined into one you wanted to help lead?
I can start by sharing with you. There's a garden spot at CAI, floor number 3. There's a grand piano. Those of you that are graduates from the program will know the area I'm talking about. It's right there where the committee meets. Jason Winter, past president, came to me and he said, can you step outside? And I'm thinking, oh my, Jason, he's a bigwig with NAA. Let's see what he wants to talk to me about. Have I done something wrong? And he took me outside. I said this at my presentation in San Antonio. He said, Kyle, have you considered following leadership in your future with NAA? He said, I believe that you would be a good fit. Well, I was flattered. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe this guy has invited me to that. And actually, he wasn't past president at the time. He was on committees. But what he was doing was fertilizing the seed to help me grow. And that's my story. That was in 2000. I was on the committee at the time, 2015, 16, 17, something like that. And he fertilized my seed. And that right there was the beginning of my direction to this seat that I'm sitting in today, and I give him a lot of credit for it.
What actually made you put in a director position, like actually run for a board seat?
Well, I knew what NAA had done for my life and my business. And if there's one thing I want to do is I want to help perpetuate and help continue to create the pathway for other first generation auctioneers or second and third generation auctioneers, but I'm a first generation auctioneer. I knew nothing when I went to the first conference and show. Totally. And it was the beginning of my education and community. And today, 2026, I cannot imagine my life without the relationships I've attained through the NAA.
Fantastic. Mike, what is your journey into becoming what you are now today?
So actually it's very similar to T. Kyle's.
Cool.
And so I had been a member for 12 years. I think I've been a member since 2001, and I think it was 13 or 14 that I started CAI. I can't remember if it was the end of the first year, my class 1, but Whitey Mason was my advisor. And Whitey came up to me and said, "Hey man, keep doing what you're doing, and I hope you're going to get involved in leadership." So I was like, well, I've never really thought about it. So as soon as I finished, I guess it was 2016. As soon as I finished, I was asked to come back in 17 to start teaching a class. So then I taught for 6 or 7 years, and at that time, the pathway into leadership at that time was you became a trustee in EI. So I became a trustee in EI, and T. Kyle and I, we went this same exact path. Then I became chair of EI, which gave me a year's seat on the board. And then after that year's seat on the board, I got to see, oh, this is how the board works, and this is something that I was very passionate about. Mm-hmm. I was passionate about, being able to have input on an ever-changing association and ever-changing market in the auction industry. So that was my path, and so I took that 1 year as EI chair and having a seat on the board, and then ran for the board, and then of course ran for vice president.
All right. And that's brought us to where we are today. One form of participation that may not generate a referral or appear on a balance sheet that members can do is advocacy. It can protect how every auction professional is allowed to conduct business. And recently, the NAA leaders met with the ATF director, chief counsel, and members of the agency's leadership team regarding the proposed rule defining when someone is engaged in the business of dealing in firearms. The NAA shared concerns about how that language could unintentionally affect licensed auctioneers facilitating firearm sales for third-party consigners. Mike, what led to that meeting, and what did NAA leadership want the ATF to understand about the unique role auctioneers play in these transactions?
Yeah, so what led to the meeting is it's almost unbelievable. So we had an NAA member, Brad McGovern, and I'm not sure if it was the ATF or the director of the ATF made a post on X about these proposed Rule 96 changes. Okay, so Brad sends either the ATF or the director of the ATF a message on X, and 2 days later the guy answers. So that's how. This is no lie. This is how the door got open. So immediately he was like, well, look, so he came to the NAA, and then the NAA was like, okay, these are the proposed rule changes. And they started putting together their comments and stuff like that, and getting ready to do a formal comments to introduce to the ATF. But before that, we were able to get a Zoom meeting, and it was the director of the ATF, it was field operations person, it was their general counsel. There's 6 or 8 people sitting around a table. So once at the table, it became clear that, this rule was passed in 1996. Well, the auction industry was a lot different in 1996 than it is today. So we started talking about how the rule was great, but it does need refining, because now the auction industry is completely changed. And you could tell that all of these people sitting at the table had never given second thought about an auction. To them, everybody is just a licensee or they're a non-licensee. Sure. How that business is transacted. But so we really focused in on 2 things. Number one, there's a gun show exemption, and right now, an FFL. So if T. Kyle has got an estate he's doing 100 miles away, okay, and he goes, and let's just say he does an on-site auction, okay? He does the auction, there's 50 guns. He takes these 50 guns now, drives 100 miles back to his location, because an FFL, your license is site-specific, okay? So he drives 100 miles back to his FFL. That person that bought the gun now drives 100 miles. They fill out their paperwork, do a background check, and he hands them the gun for them to turn around and drive 100 miles back to where they came from, okay? So we were saying, listen, there's a gun show exemption. So what we would like to do is an auctioneer that's an FFL should have the same type exemption. That as long as you notify the ATF that I'm doing this, why would the people have to drive 100 miles back, do it from that location, give them the gun to turn around and drive 100 miles back? Why can't that FFL just do the transfer on site, run the background check, everything else? That was the first thing. But that was for an auctioneer that has an FFL. The second thing is that over 50% of the surveyed people that responded to our survey within the NAA that sell guns they don't have an FFL. So they're falling under an estate exemption. Okay. So they're falling under estate guidelines, which was, I mean, they were relatively clear in 96, not so clear anymore, because now a whole lot of these auctions are not done live. They're done online. And, the word possession in an ATF rule, the word possession is way different than a court of law's definition of possession. So what does it mean to possess the gun? What does it mean to transport the gun from an estate to your place if you're doing online only auction? There's a whole lot of gray areas. So what we asked for was two things. We need clarification of transport, possession, things like that. Clarification of what those terms mean for somebody that is doing estate auctions. They're not an FFL. And the second thing was, okay, if we are an FFL, we would really like to have an exemption like a gun show. And the biggest ask was this team from the NAA would love to fly to Washington, D.C. and spend 2 or 3 hours answering all of your questions and explaining to you more in depth. So you talked about advocacy. One of the things Brad was able to say is, yes, we do have a PAC. The NAA does have a PAC when they was talking to the director of the ATF. So that advocacy portion of it it's never been stronger than it is this year, because the NAA is that, number one, we've got a PAC that started last year. Number two, we've hired a lobbyist this year. And only in the last, 5 or 6 years did we have an advocacy cornerstone.
Sure.
And now in the last, 3 years, T. Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, now the cornerstone chairs have a seat on the board for 1 year, just like T. Kyle and I did as education chairs. So now the advocacy chair is sitting on the board too. So the advocacy, I tell everybody, look, we've always had this vision of being the voice of the auction industry, but quite frankly, until this year, we've never taken the first step to become that.
Hey, fair.
But it is now.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking.
Yes. Kyle, when you hear everything that Mike was just saying, and you are selling firearms yourself, what kind of changes will this bring to your business?
Well, basically it's the NAA making it easier for the auctioneer. I mean, it's just like Mike said, if I do an auction 100 miles away, legally, I'm supposed to pack those guns up and bring them to my address that's licensed. And it's going to make it more consumer friendly. And that's a win-win.
So you have inherited immediate responsibilities, long-term challenges, and I imagine an email inbox that now reproduces when left unattended. Let's look at what you hope to build together, because advocacy is definitely a big thing with this. You bring different experiences, perspectives, and strengths to these positions, fellas. What do you hope to learn from one another this year in general? Kyle, what do you hope to learn?
Number one, we started with friendship, and Mike's approach is very similar to mine. We have the same end goal, and that is to grow the NAA and to make it positive experience for the membership. Mike and I have talked about styles. Will I always agree with Mike? Probably not. But when we walk out the door, are we going to be unified? And the answer is yes.
We actually started this conversation off when I said T. Kyle is, I sort of look at myself as more of a 30,000 foot view, more long-term vision, that type of stuff. I'm not really a great details person. T. Kyle is. He's very detail oriented. And I think personally, there's a lot of things I can learn from him. We both have similar visions, but how our day-to-day gets us there is different. I can learn a lot from T. Kyle's management style. He is a much more polished speaker than I am. So there's a lot personally that I can learn from him. I also learn in business. I've learned a lot from T. Kyle, just in our conversations. Because, I mean, for the last, T. Kyle, 4 or 5 years, at least once a month, we talk, and we'll talk for 30, 45 minutes. And We even have like our own little mastermind conference calls together and Zoom meetings.
Great.
And so I've learned a lot from T. Kyle as far as business, but it's also on a personal level.
Fantastic. Could you guys give me a bullet point or two on this shared vision for this next year as you guys are a unified front?
I'll start with bullet point number 1, more members.
Great bullet point.
I will tell you what bullet point number 2 is for me, is more opportunities to engage. So right now we have Designation Academy, conference and show, and then summits, a specific asset class summit. So it's real estate summit, or it's the benefit auction summit, or it's digital marketing. So those are really the only opportunities we have to engage. I want to create more opportunities for engagement. As me and T. Kyle both have been talking this entire interview, is that engagement is the only thing that's different between a dues paying 4-year member that gets out and somebody that's in the Hall of Fame. But I know that not everybody, not every member, not all of our 2,700 members can afford to go just to conference and show. Okay, some of them, they may not can take the time away from their business. They're a solo entrepreneur, and they're going to have to spend money to fly and a hotel room and being away from the business. Not everybody can do that. So what I want to do is I want to create more opportunities to engage. And by doing that, I think, number one, we get more members. Because if we're doing smaller gatherings where people can come that may not even be a member of the NAA now, and we give them an opportunity to engage. Number two, it helps us retain that member that's been a member for 5 years, just paying their dues, never been to an event, but now all of a sudden there's an event coming real close to them, and it's only a 1.5-day long event, and they're able to engage and meet other NAA members and things like that. I think that it will get more members in, new members, but will help us retain members.
And I'm going to give you a bullet point number 3, and I'm going to bring Morgan Hobson, our chairman of the board's name, in the mix here. Next Gen. I want, and I know Mike is committed to continuing that growth. It's seen tremendous growth, DACA FFA. I mean, what in the world would we be doing today without that next generation? And I'm passionate about that because my story is I became an auctioneer in 2009. I evangelized my wife, and she became one in about 2015. She evangelized my children. I have a whole family that's licensed auctioneers, NAA members, and CAI members. The next generation is the most important thing we can be looking to the future for.
Yeah, and T. Kyle, I wanted to add on that. This FFA program that Morgan and Justin Kennedy and several other people have been very instrumental in putting together and building. This thing it's taken off like a rocket ship, especially over the last year. It's really getting legs. But if you really look at this, first of all, it wouldn't happen without those people and their vision. But the second thing is, do you know why it's taken off so big and why, like, we had the largest IJAC competition we've ever had? It goes back to engagement. We have now given FFA students a way to engage in our industry through a state
community.
Yeah, it's community. It is community and engagement. They have never had a way with that. We never had a way with open arms and have programs to bring them in, to let them engage on the state level, which then turned into them engaging on the national level. It's all about community. And so even the FFA deal itself, it is taken off because of engagement and community.
Yeah, 2 of our 3 IJAC finalists, or the 3 champions, 2 of those 3 were FFA kids, including the champion Logan Snyder. So it's already making waves.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's extend the timeline a little bit. Imagine we revisit this conversation 5 years from now. You have both had time away from the board and are once again participating primarily as engaged members. Looking back, what would you need to be true for you to believe that your time in leadership created a lasting difference? Are you looking for that? Or are you just hoping to do something in your time here now?
So if you couldn't tell, I'm passionate about community
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm passionate about engagement. So looking back 5 years from now, I hope that we have some events that are taking place regionally that we do not have taking place today. And I hope that those events have made an impact that has grown membership and retained members. That is my passion. Other than that, I want to make sure that the NAA stays on the financial path that we're currently on this year, but financially strong and growing membership and retaining membership through networking opportunities and community.
I'll echo that. And I'm numbers oriented. I want to see growth in membership. What's that number? I don't know. But I do know that nationwide associations, Rotary clubs, this new generation is not as engaged as us old school boys, Mike. But I want to see 2,700 become 3,500. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I want to see the trajectory change in a upward momentum.
For the member listening who pays their dues but remains on the sidelines, what is one action you would challenge them to take during this next 30 days?
Get engaged.
Call 5 members. Introduce yourself. Don't call with your hand out. Just call 5 members and start a relationship. Relationship. That's where it all begins.
Should they contact someone in the same asset class, expand from there? What do you think?
I mean, that's always a good idea, but not necessarily. It could be someone that is in a different asset class. Maybe you want to learn about that, or maybe you want to hear what their NAA experience is, or what it took them to get through CAI.
And I would tell you, so I bet if you called 5 or you called 10, I'll bet you, and you left messages, you may not get them. I'll bet you if you called and said, I'm a new NAA member. I've been in the business for X number of years. This is my first year in the business, or I've been in the business 10 years. I've just joined the NAA, and I'd just really like to pick your brain a little bit, or introduce myself and ask you how you grew to where you're at, or whatever the specific question is. And if you left 10 of those messages, guarantee you 9 people call you back.
Yeah.
I just agree. Literally, I'm honest. I'm being truthful. It's just the nature of our industry and who we are. You know, if you leave messages like that for 9 people, 10 people, you're going to get 9 callbacks.
Okay. Hey, we've assessed the auction industry, prepared for the largest transfer of assets in modern history, strengthened everyone's business, built a nationwide referral network, and protected the profession from regulatory confusion. Productive hour here, guys. Thank you. Frankly, I think we have earned something with considerably fewer consequences. And last season, I introduced a game called 5 to 1. It began with refrigerator essentials and ended with both of my guests, Mike, identifying themselves as furniture. That's journalism, ladies and gentlemen. The format is simple. I will give you a prompt requiring 5 answers, then 4, then 3, then 2, and finally 1. The questions become less responsible as the numbers get smaller. There are no wrong answers, although there may be answers that require a formal investigation in you guys. So just be aware. Be aware of that. Are you guys ready to play 5 to 1?
I don't
Mike
know.
goes first. Mike goes first.
Good. All right, my first question. You are stopping at a gas station before a long road trip. The gas tank is full, someone else is driving, and the nutritional consequences no longer matter. What are the 5 items in your perfect gas station road trip haul?
So I have to qualify this because it depends on where I'm stopping. So I will tell you, so my first deal is I like to stop at mom and pop convenience stores that have their own little deli in the back. So
Cool.
if they do, I am 100% of the time, if they have fried catfish, I'm getting me 1 piece of fried catfish, and then I'm
Alabama.
chicken thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from the South. Okay, so good gas stations have fried catfish that they fry on site. So I would say fried catfish and fried chicken thigh, but not all gas stations have that.
No
Okay,
way.
not all gas stations have that. So now if I'm stopping at like a quick trip or something like that, where all the hot food they have is out there on a roller, and it's like they have cheeseburgers that are rolling, they have taquitos that are rolling, I go straight for an egg roll. It's the only thing. It's the only thing that's rolling that I ever buy, and that's an egg roll. So an egg roll, catfish, chicken thigh. Then if I stop at Buc-ee's, I'm getting beef jerky. So beef jerky at Buc-ee's, and also up at the register at Buc-ee's, they have sugar-free mints. Since I'm a diabetic, they have these sugar-free mints. They have cotton candy, and they have sour orange. I just stopped at a Buc-ee's coming back from the Alabama convention at the beach last week, and I bought 20 containers of those because I can't. It may be another 2 months before I pass a Buc-ee's.
Hey.
So that's it. That's my 5 things.
That is a road trip haul right there. Kyle, what are your
Sounds like we needed a life insurance policy.
Yes, we do.
Mike, although I did hear a lot of protein. So conservative people get excited. Don't get excited. The first thing I would get would be a cold cheerwine. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with cheerwine, that is a soda. It's not alcohol. It's wonderful. It's akin to Dr. Pepper, but it's made in Salisbury, North Carolina. Cheerwine. Planters peanuts, salted for certain, salted. I'd probably get a bottled water. I like Fuji to wash it all down. And pecan roll, real moist pecan roll.
Okay.
And if I were riding with Mike, I would get some Tums.
So I have a question, T. Kyle. Do you ever pour the peanuts into your cheerwine?
That's for Coke in my neighborhood, but not on cheerwine. If you haven't had cheerwine, you need to get cheerwine. It is fabulous.
So I know Mr. Pibb as like another Dr. Pepper kind of soda. Is it still going for like that spicy cherry kind of flavor, this cheerwine?
Yeah, it is.
So
Best in the bottle.
Interesting. Which of these 5 items are you refusing to share in that car? I don't know who's grabbing for your catfish there, Mike, but which one are you refusing to share?
Actually, it depends on who's in the car with me. If it's my wife, I can't refuse to share anything.
Smart move.
If it's not my wife, probably the catfish.
For me, I'm a germaphobe. I'll share my cheerwine, but not with you.
All right. For the next one, the road trip has ended, and we are now hosting a backyard cookout. You may invite 4 people. They can be living, dead, or fictional. Who receives an invitation?
Oh, wow. T. Kyle, you go first.
Well, we actually talked about him earlier. And for those of you that know who he is, I'll say it like he would say it. Zig Ziglar. You got to know Zig to understand that accent. I'll get spiritual and I'll invite the Apostle Paul. Major Dick Winters, 101st World War II Normandy invasion guy. Love his story.
Dope.
And I've got to have an NAA member. Mike, you're out. I'm going to invite Lauren Beachy.
Who's cooking? Who's cooking at this cookout?
I'll cook. I'll be the cook.
See, you should have invited me. I'm a pretty good cook on a grill, but I'm out.
There you have it.
What a rotation there, Kyle. Awesome cookout. Mike, how about you?
Oh, let's see. I would have to say the first 2 people I'd want is my mom and dad, because they're not here anymore. And so now that they're not here, I've come up with a lot of questions I wish I would have asked them when they were here. Probably would like to. I'd like to pick Vince Lombardi's brain. Yep. And then my fourth and final person, since it is a cookout, I would have to bring Emerald Lagasse so I could make this way over the top for my cookout.
Bam!
Yeah.
Do you guys have enough liability insurance for this gathering? Because you got some homies there. The Apostle Paul for you, Kyle, with a World War II Normandy guy. What a gathering!
I've never referred to the Apostle Paul as a homie, but I like that.
He'd be cool
If he showed up at your cookout, you could.
Yeah. Okay. On to the next one. Every important person deserves entrance music, not necessarily because they've accomplished anything at that exact moment. Sometimes you simply need to enter a grocery store as if pyrotechnics are happening behind you. What 3 songs belong on your personal entrance soundtrack? What would you have liked to have walked out to for your speech at Confidence Show?
Mike first.
First would be Sandman, because I think it is actually Virginia Tech's football entrance song into their stadium. Yes, I think, yes. And I'm not a Metallica fan. I'm not a heavy metal guy. So the only time I ever get to see it is all the videos I see of Virginia Tech and them coming out to Sandman and the entire stadium rocking. Then I will go Eye of the Tiger and Jungle from Guns N' Roses, because those are the 2 entrance songs to Auburn Tigers football game, which I'm a huge fan of. So that would be my War Eagle.
Okay. You a lot more hardcore than I expected from you, Mike. I don't know why. Kyle, how about you?
Well, telling on my age, 2001 Space Odyssey. Do you get that?
The Kubrick movie?
No, it's the entrance of Elvis Presley.
Oh, then
I'm an Elvis fan.
I was with you, Taven. I was thinking, this is Stanley Kubrick. I'm like, I don't remember the song, but.
So Elvis?
Yeah, Elvis. I love Elvis Presley. It's great music. Yeah, he would enter to 2001 Space Odyssey, followed by CC Rider. Look it up on YouTube. Number 2, Adrian, Rocky theme. And I'm going to trip you all out on number 3. I'm going to rock your world. None of you will know this. Highlands by Jim Van Cleve.
Not a clue.
No, me either.
It's a good walkout song, though?
No, it's bluegrass.
Great walkout song. Are you kidding me?
That is not a good walkout song. Hey, at least my 3 are going to have the crowd pumped up when I come out.
That's fair. I don't know if he's humming along on a banjo. I'm up on my feet and I'm rocking with him. If it's that,
it's a good. For those of you that are watching this, YouTube Jim Van Cleve, Highlands.
Do you guys have a different answer for if I asked you to pick a walk-up song for like you're now a baseball player, or is one of those songs still the correct answer?
Jump Around.
Oh, House of Pain.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Jump Around.
My answer has always been "Mama, I'm Coming Home" by Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have a baseball walk-up song?
Oh, Lord.
Would it be Enter Sandman?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty hard to beat. I'm just telling you. Enter Sandman is pretty hard. There is absolutely nobody that can be in a group of 100 people, whether they've heard this song or not, that when it comes on and everybody starts going in unison, they would too, even if they haven't heard the song.
Look at that, Kyle. He's already using analytics to figure out what's happening in 100 group of people. Okay, our second to last question. Now we are going to create misinformation responsibly. Give me 2 completely harmless conspiracy theories you believe you could invent and convince people to believe.
I'll go with the first one.
Okay.
The Earth is square. Because apparently a flat Earth has convinced a whole lot of people that people have. There are people convinced that the Earth is flat. I should have an easy time convincing them it's square.
Awesome. So I don't know if that's a harmless conspiracy theory, but it's one that you could invent and convince.
Well, I mean, they're not going to drive off the edge, so it is harmless.
True. Okay. You got a second one?
No, I'm going to let T. Kyle go with his first one while I'm thinking up my second one.
CAI has a class that teaches you how to say sold properly with a hidden message that contains a tribute to Shane Ratliff.
Please expand.
I think that's creative.
I mean, that's good. That's good.
Is the government involved, or is this being managed entirely by like the CAI committee? Like, how deep does this go, Kyle?
Oh no, it's deep. It's deep.
So, just so you know, I know CAI is 50 years old, but do you know how old the CIA is? Just saying, there are connections. It's not Illuminati. It's not Illuminati stuff, but 50 years ago, there was definitely a connection of why CAI was formed.
Should I be worried that I believe you, Mike?
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious. I've never told anybody that, but and you're not going to Google it and find out either. But
I started to say, are you serious, Clark?
Yeah. If you talk to Marty Higginbotham, you're going to have to get him in a quiet room, and first you're going to have to earn his trust. But you talk to Marty Higginbotham, he'll tell you exactly what the tie-in was.
Great. Okay. I can't believe we got auction industry conspiracy theories here. Awesome. Kyle, you got a second one?
Yes, a lot of people didn't know this, but in New Orleans, it was purported that incoming President Tim Mast was stuck on an elevator due to a malfunction. The truth is, he pressed stop to finish writing his script for his presidential speech. I think that's pretty good.
These are great.
I mean, come on, that's pretty good. Are you aware of that situation, Taven? He literally got stuck on the elevator.
No, I didn't hear about this.
On his way to give his speech.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, this is a good conspiracy to make.
But now we know the rest of the story.
True.
Once again, my age is showing up.
Yeah. Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay, we have reached the final question. I need you to think of something that has cost less than $100 that has made your life noticeably better. What is one purchase under $100 that has completely changed your life?
Mine goes to a auxiliary battery for my cell phone. It's life-changing.
Yeah, sure.
So you use that all the time. Mine would have to be diesel fuel. Without it, I would not be going anywhere in my truck. I mean, I have to have it every single week.
Yeah.
So fossil fuels is definitely a game changer for me.
$100, that'll get you a little ways.
Yeah, it'll get me about 20 gallons of diesel today. But
yeah.
I would have to say fossil fuels. It's a game changer.
So,
well, if you run out of fuel, give me a call because my battery's charged.
But it's a phone battery.
If I upped that number from $100 to $1,000, where does your mind go there for a life-changing thing that you have purchased for less than $1,000?
Smartphone. You know, it's funny. So
yes.
A smartphone it's definitely a game changer. But so I was in the hazardous waste business when we got our first fax machine.
Mm-hmm.
Also, while we're there, was the first time we got a 14.4 modem. That was like in '96.
Holy cow!
Right as we sold out. So I was in the hazardous waste management business. Had accounts in 45 states before we had fax machines. We had no fax machines. We had no email, and we had no internet. I mean, so I would say,
how are you operating?
I would say that right there is the best $1,000 in the world. Yeah.
It's a good answer.
You win. I agree.
We started at a gas station, hosted 2 potentially impossible cookouts, created entrance soundtracks, destabilized public confidence with 4 new conspiracy theories, and ended with consumer recommendations. That is range. Gentlemen,
Yeah.
Mike and Kyle, you have officially survived 5-1. Before we go into our closing, is there anything else you guys would like to talk about today? Anything on your mind about this next year in front of you? Totally fine if not. We have covered a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've covered pretty much my goals. I've covered everything and what I think is important, and member retention and growing members. I mean, I think I've covered everything that I need to cover.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to serving as your vice president, Mike. And I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of the NAA. We've got great leadership at headquarters, and it's going to be a great year.
It's going to be a wonderful year. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Mike and Kyle, thank you both for helping begin this season and for giving our listeners a clearer understanding of where the auction industry stands, where it is headed, and how every member can help shape what comes next. The more time I spend in this profession, the more I understand that no one takes this journey alone. The opportunities may be found in education, events, and resources, but the heart of this industry will always be its people. To our listeners, think about the challenge that Mike and Kyle gave you. Find one way to step forward, introduce yourself, strengthen your business, or become more involved during the next 30 days. Follow the National Auction Association on social media and visit auctioneers.org to learn about any and all upcoming events. Until next time, thank you for listening to The Auction Advocate, the podcast where we are all in. Have a great week, everybody.